Right, tonight's story is called The Emperor's New Clothes. And it's about an emperor who had some people who made some clothes for him, but they didn't really make clothes, they were pretend clothes. But they told the emperor that only people who are stupid can't see them. So the emperor didn't want to seem stupid because they were not really clothes at all. And so they said that it's invisible clothes if you are stupid. And so the emperor believed they were real clothes, but they weren't. And everybody had to say they were real until one little boy shouted out, "The emperor's got no clothes on!" And then everybody laughed. So here we are, the story of the Emperor's New Clothes. Many years ago, or we could say once upon a time, there lived an emperor who was so fond of fine clothes that he spent all his money on his outfits. He was so vain that he didn't care about his soldiers or going to the theatre or hunting. All he cared about was how well dressed he was. Whenever he went out, it was so he could show off his clothes. The emperor had a different suit for every hour of the day. Whilst most emperors would spend their time with their ministers, this emperor spent most of his time in his wardrobe getting dressed, because no sooner had he put one suit on than he wanted to put on another one. He just liked to look good. The great city where the emperor ruled was a very merry and busy city, and many travellers and merchants and strangers from far away travelled to visit and to do business there.
Can I just see the emperor? Yeah.
That's the emperor in his wardrobe with all the clothes. Look at all the clothes he's got everywhere. Look, there's no more pictures.
The back.
The emperor's looking at himself in the mirror, looking and wearing the nice clothes. So people came from all over to do business with the emperor and with the city. One day, two tricksters are bad people who do tricks. One day, two tricksters arrived in town claiming that they were...
This one and this one?
The tricksters, I think it must be this one and this one. Yeah, they must be the tricksters.
Maybe this one and this one.
They're con men, two tricksters. One day, two tricksters arrived in town claiming that they were weavers of the finest cloth. They told everybody that they could weave luxurious material of the most beautiful colours and elaborate patterns. The clothes that were made from this material, they claimed, had the amazing property of remaining invisible to anyone who was unfit for the position they held or who was incredibly simple. What marvellous cloth that must be, thought the emperor when he heard about it. If I had clothes made from that material, I could tell who is unfit for their positions. I'd also be able to see who is wise and who is foolish. I must get this cloth woven for me straight away. So the emperor believes the myth that the cloth is invisible to those who are stupid. The emperor summoned the two swindlers, the two tricksters, the two con men, the two cheaters.
This one?
Yeah, they're the con men or the cheaters or the swindlers. They're going to trick him. They're going to con him. They're going to cheat him.
He likes it.
He's going to believe what they tell him, but they're going to lie. They're going to say they've got magic cloth which only stupid people can't see. And clever people can see all the colours. And the king will believe it. Or the emperor will believe everything they say. The emperor summoned the two swindlers and gave them their instructions for his suit. He gave them large sums of money so they could start work immediately. The weavers set up two enormous looms. That's a loom. A loom is where you make material. The weavers set up two enormous looms in a comfortable room where they could work and sleep. To make the cloth, the weavers asked for the most delicate silk and thread made out of pure gold. They sat in front of the empty looms all day and into the night, pretending to weave, but really they stowed the expensive silk and thread in their packs so they could sell it later. After some time had passed, the emperor thought to himself, I should very much like to see how the weavers are getting on with their cloth. But when he remembered that someone who was unfit for his position, or who was extremely simple, could not see the cloth, the emperor became very uneasy about going to see for himself. Indeed, everyone in the town knew about the amazing properties of the cloth and was eagerly looking forward to discover who of their friends and neighbours could not see it. I am sure there is nothing for me to fear, really, thought the emperor after some deliberation. But it might be best to send someone else first to let me know what is going on before I trouble myself. I will send my honest old minister to the weavers. He will be the best judge of how it looks, as he is a man of sense, and no one is more suited to their position than he is. So the faithful old minister went along to the weaver's room, where the two swindlers were pretending to work with all their might at their empty looms. What can this mean? Thought the minister, opening his eyes wide. I cannot see anything at all, he thought, because there was nothing to see. It wasn't that the cloth was invisible, it just wasn't there, but he didn't know. He thought it was really there, and he was stupid, so he didn't dare to tell anybody. The two impostors invited him to come near and look at the cloth. They asked the minister if the design pleased him, and he thought that the colours were very beautiful, pointing at their empty looms all the while. The poor minister tried his very best to see the cloth, but he couldn't see anything at all. There was nothing to be seen. Oh dear, thought the minister. Could it be that I am a simpleton? I have never thought so. But if I am, no one must know. Maybe I'm not fit for my position. No, that must not be discovered. I mustn't say that I can't see the cloth. Now, dear minister, what do you think? Asked one of the swindlers. Does our work please you? Said the con man, still pretending to work at the loom. Oh, it is excellent, replied the minister, not seeing anything. It is exceedingly beautiful. What stunning colours! What brilliant patterns! I shall tell the emperor that I like the cloth very much. We are pleased to hear that, said the rogues, the swindlers, the conmen, the impostors, the cheaters. We are pleased to hear that, said the rogues, and they proceeded to explain the pattern and to describe the beautiful colours. The minister then explained it all to the emperor. The weavers then asked for more silk and gold so they could finish what they'd begun. However, everything that they received was stowed away in their packs to be sold later, and they continued to work away at their empty looms. Soon afterwards, the emperor decided to send another trusted member of his court to the weavers to see how they were progressing and to see if the cloth was nearly finished. Like the old minister, the courtier looked and looked and looked, but he couldn't see anything, as there was nothing to be seen. "It's a beautiful piece of cloth, is it not?" asked the two tricksters, showing and describing the magnificent colours and the patterns which did not really exist. "I am not stupid," thought the courtier in a panic, "so I must not be fit for my position. I must not let anyone know this is the case." So the courtier praised the cloth, which he couldn't see. "It is indeed extraordinarily magnificent," said the courtier. "Your Imperial Majesty, you will love it," said the courtier to the emperor when he returned to make his report. By now, everyone in the town was talking about the incredible cloth. The emperor decided that he must go and see it for himself while it was still in the loom. Accompanied by a number of officials, including the two who had already visited the weavers, he went to see the progress of the cloth. When they saw the emperor approaching, the two rogues pretended to work harder than ever, although they still didn't pass any thread through the loom. "Is it not magnificent?" said the two officials who had already been there before. "Your Majesty must admire the colours and patterns." They pointed to the empty looms, as they imagined that the others must be able to see the cloth, and they did not want them to know that they could not. "What is this?" thought the emperor in dismay. "I do not see anything at all. Am I stupid? Am I unfit for my position as emperor? That would be the worst thing imaginable." "Oh, the cloth is charming," the emperor said aloud. "It has my complete approval." He smiled and nodded as he looked at the empty loom, for he did not want to say that he could not see anything. All the officials with him looked and looked, and although they could not see anything, they all nodded and exclaimed, "Magnificent! Beautiful!" They advised the emperor to have some clothes made from the cloth for a great procession that was soon to take place. Everyone seemed to be delighted, and the emperor even presented the weavers with ribbons of knighthood and the titles Imperial Court Weavers. Lie down in bed. The day before the procession, the tricksters pretended to work on the emperor's outfit.
I want to see a picture.
In a second, they pretended to take the cloth from the loom and cut in the air with big scissors. They acted at sewing the invisible cloth with needles. At last, they announced, "The emperor's new suit is ready." The emperor came to the weavers with all the officials of his court to see the new clothes. The tricksters raised up their arms as if they had a suit of clothing draped over them. Here are the trousers, they said. This is the coat, and this is the cloak. The cloth is as light as a cobweb. You might almost imagine you have nothing on when you are wearing it, but that is one of the virtues of this delicate cloth. Indeed, said all the court officials, even though they couldn't see anything. If your majesty will remove his clothes, said the weavers, we will fit the new suit in front of the mirror here. The emperor undressed, and the swindlers proceeded to dress him in the new imaginary suit. Look, he's got no clothes on, but he thinks he's wearing clothes.
Why when...
He thinks he's stupid and he can't see the clothes. And everybody pretends he's wearing clothes because they don't want to seem stupid either.
He's wearing clothes?
Well, not really.
Is it pretend clothes?
It's pretend clothes. The emperor undressed, and the swindlers pretended to dress him in his new imaginary suit. The emperor turned from side to side in front of the mirror, so he looked like he was admiring his new clothes. How wonderful His Majesty looks in his new suit, and how well it fits, everyone exclaimed. What a beautiful pattern! What fine clothes! The master of ceremonies announced that the procession was about to start. I am ready, said the emperor. Do my new clothes fit well? Of course, everybody pretended they could see the clothes, and they pretended that they fitted well, even though he wasn't wearing any. But even the king didn't know that. The courtiers who were to carry the royal train felt around on the ground as though they were lifting the end of the cloak. They did not want people to think that they were simple or unfit for their position. The emperor marched out in the middle of the procession under a beautiful canopy. All the townspeople were standing along the street and hanging out of the windows waiting to see the new suit. Everyone who saw him exclaimed, "How magnificent are our emperor's new clothes! How well they fit him!" No one wanted to admit that they could not see the outfit, which wasn't there at all. No one wanted to admit that they couldn't see the outfit because they didn't want their friends and neighbors to think that they were stupid or unfit for their positions. As the emperor entered the gates of the great square, there was a huge roar. Everybody cheered to see the emperor's new clothes that nobody could see. But in a moment when there was silence, a little boy's voice could be heard, a little boy just like you. And the little boy shouted, "But he has nothing on!" "He's got nothing on!" exclaimed the little boy. "Good heavens!
What is a boy?
Listen to the voice of an innocent child!" exclaimed someone.
Good boy.
And then the whole crowd started to whisper to each other.
Who's a little boy?
There's the little boy.
And this one?
Or is it that one? One of those. Yes, that one. I don't know. One of these two. And then the crowd started to whisper to each other. "He's got nothing on. He's got nothing on. He's got nothing on. He's got no clothes." The voices got louder and louder until everyone was shouting, "He has nothing on," at the tops of their voices and roaring with laughter. The emperor tried for a moment or two to remain dignified. Then he took to his heels and scurried back to the palace. The two tricksters had fled, taking all their gold and precious silk with them, and were never seen again. Those con men are very bad, aren't they?
Who?
The two swindlers really tricked him. The tricksters, they tricked him. They're real baddies. They're real rogues. And from then on, and from that time on, the emperor had become less vain about his clothes. Now you get in bed and it's bedtime. Good night, Aidan.